Potent Productivity Podcast, where we pull back the curtain and dive into the real emotional journeys behind entrepreneurship. We're your hosts, Sarah
and Robert, and we know that building a business isn't just about crushing your to-do list or chasing overnight success. It's about navigating the ups and downs and unexpected turns that come with following your passion.
We're not here to sell you easy wins or rehearse the same tired success stories you've heard 1,000 times. We're here to talk about the moments when enthusiasm is buried beneath a mountain of tasks, when self-doubt creeps in, and when you're not sure where your road leads next.
So each week, we'll share raw conversations, real lessons, and practical strategies to help you reconnect with your creativity, build resilience, and rediscover what excited you about your business in the first place.
If you're ready for honest talk, community, and actionable inspiration, you're in the right place. Let's get real. Let's reclaim your potent productivity together. And welcome to the Potent Productivity Podcast. I'm your host, Sarah J. Pitts, along with Robert Cabeca.
Hi there. Robert. Hello. Welcome, everybody.
Today's episode, we are going to be talking about the shocking reason why time management attempts keep failing. And no, it's not your fault.
Yeah.
So we have both been in the situation where we have tried time management techniques and, we still feel like we're juggling 50 million plates and, there's not enough hours in the day and all that kind of thing. So we're here to talk today about managing your energy rather than your time.
Oh.
So the key really here is that time isn't the issue. Everybody has the same amount of time. It rolls on regardless of you and what you're doing. The thing is, what are you giving your energy to? Because when your energy goes down, unless you're doing things to help rejuvenate that, it's just going to feel like you're at rock bottom the whole time. So most of us give our time to things that drain our energy, so we don't get that energy back. And then we end up like drowning in a mountain of to-dos that are just like, oh God, I don't want to do that. So, I'm sure that's been your experience, Robert.
A little bit. Yeah, you could say that, and I can say that it's always frustrating when I look at my project management plans and my to-do lists and what have yous and my goals, whatever. And it's like, oh my gosh, how am I going to get all this done? And, it's how I make my decisions when I look at those lists of things that have to get done, the ones that I've chosen to write down, the other ones that stay up here in my head.
Oh, yeah.
They seem to carry a little bit more weight, and it's like, wow. So how I choose and how I make those decisions has a lot to do with how I feel, about myself, about the business, about whatever's going on, because all of that has a direct impact, not just to my energy, but what I think I'm capable of doing in the amount of time that I have.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I've definitely had lots of experience, as I'm sure you watching have had, in trying to figure out, how do I get this stuff done so I can feel better about myself? Oh, wait, did you hear what I just said? I can only feel better once I get this stuff done. So in other words, I'm giving myself permission to feel like crud while I'm doing all this stuff that I'm supposed to love doing.
Yeah.
It doesn't make any sense, right? So how's that supposed to make me feel good?
Yeah.
And then when I feel good after it's all done, guess what? There's more stuff to do. So, I gotta feel like crud again. Yes. So feeling good doesn't last very long, does it?
No, and this is why I found that managing my energy is so different, because when I have loads of stuff to do, right, and I'm trying to just allocate tasks to time of the day, like, oh, well, I've got an hour in the morning, I could do this and this and this and this, and you don't consider your energy and how that's going to make you feel, then you don't really give your best to the task. And it takes longer to do the task because you're sat there going, I don't really want to do this. And the energy, your creativity is not flowing. And everything just seems to drag out,
Yeah.
But when you match your energy and your creativity with the task at hand, and you put it at the right time of day, then everything seems to flow. You get loads of stuff done. Yeah. And even with the tasks that you need to do, Like,
Yeah.
um, when I was doing my master's degree, for example, the worst thing ever was the bibliography. I hated doing the bibliography and the reference list and all that because it had to be laid out in a certain way. And there was hundreds of these references. And so I would just put on some really great music and I would just try and lift my energy that way to try and get these tasks done. And I would do maybe 5 or 6 at a time, and then I'd go and do something else, you know? So it was just like short bursts of the stuff that I really hated in between the things that I was really enjoying, like
Right.
writing the thing or researching the thing or, whatever it was. So, yeah. And when you do that, when you match those things together, it just seems that everything just flows, you
Right.
know? So you don't have to like trudge your way through it. You can kind of whiz your way through it and be like, oh yeah,
Yeah.
I did that.
Yeah. Yeah.
Is that the
Yeah.
same for
And
you?
I think what the most important thing that well, not the most important thing, but one of the important things that you mentioned is matching our energy to the task.
Hmm.
We all have a circadian rhythm.
Hmm.
We do. And everybody is different. And I hate when, sorry, I hope you're not one of these people because I don't know. I hate when everyone says everybody's circadian rhythm is the same. You're supposed to sleep
No,
8 hours, you're supposed to this. It's like,
no.
and it's like, no, 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 no. There are people who can function perfectly, on 4 or 5 hours of sleep and take a nap for an hour during the day, and they're fine.
Hmm.
And there are some people who need 9 hours of sleep,
Hmm.
before they're fine. You need to find out what your rhythm is. And during the course of the day, when is your high energy high? When is your low energy low? Because you don't want to be doing emails when you have high energy. Emails is a low energy task,
Yeah.
just like opening up snail mail, et cetera, et cetera. So the monotonous kinds of tasks, do those when you have low energy. The
Mm.
the tasks that require high energy are where you need to be creative, innovative, when you're producing. That's when, the high energy tasks, when you're at your fullest.
Hmm.
And the other aspect of this, is like, what are the things that affect our energy during the course of the day?
Hmm.
If I just had 10 pancakes and two waffles and bacon and sausage for breakfast, chances are I'm not going to feel very good. 45 minutes later, I'm going to be, yeah, in a carbo coma,
Yeah.
and I'm not going to be able to get anything done.
Hmm.
Or if I go out for lunch and have, pasta and meatballs or whatever, it's like, yeah, forget about the afternoon. Your afternoon's done. Your energy's tanked.
Hmm.
So our energy is not only affected by our circadian rhythm, but by what we're putting into our body,
Hmm.
and so eating foods, healthy snacks, if you're snacking on chips and stuff like that, or having a cola or something, or coffee, you're going to spike with energy and then you're going to crash.
Hmm.
And you're going to crash right when you're in the middle of the important stuff. It's like, oh, I got to, how can I got to, and next thing,
Yeah, and I think, so many people are hung up on like whichever technique or approach you should use to prioritize tasks. I mean, let's face it, any idiot can prioritize a task. You think, oh, that's really important, I need to do that next, even if it's
yeah,
because the deadline is tomorrow or that day. You
right,
don't have to have a set out technique to be able to do that.
right.
And I think people feel like they ought to be doing things a certain way, but when they actually match it to who they are and how they function best, then everything changes. Like I'm most creative first thing in the morning. So I can write blog posts or I can, I do my word thinking, like the things with words in the morning. And then the afternoon's less kind of deep thinking, more design kind of creativity things. So I'll create like, I don't know, PowerPoint slides or a website or, something that's got colors and positioning things doesn't take as much thinking for me as the words. So I
Yeah.
do that in the afternoon when my creativity, my focus is maybe a little bit lower. And then in the evening, I can do interviews and talking to people and meetings and that kind of stuff, not only because of the time difference, but also because those things don't take as much thinking about. So I need my thinking time in the morning because if I try and do that thinking time in the evening, like I've tried before, when I'm on a live call, let's say on I don't know, on a challenge that I'm doing, I watch the training live and I try and do it alongside everyone else, I'm like, this is just not working. My brain is stopped functioning. I need to wait. I need to stop. I need to watch the replay, whatever it is, and do it in the morning when my brain is better. Because I could trudge through that task and not let my head hit the pillow before I've done the task of the training. But if I do that, I'll be up all night and I still won't have anything in the morning. So it's much easier, much better for me, and much faster to just stop and work at my own pace and what works for me.
Right.
What's your experience with that?
Yeah, no, absolutely. And what jumps out at me in that aspect is like what I'm trying to force myself to do something when I don't have the energy to do it.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, there are times when you just have to do it because it has
Mm-hmm.
to get done. There is a deadline and you just got to find a way to push yourself through. And
Yeah.
there is a couple techniques that I can help, provide to make that happen for you. But also, it's just the idea. It's like, oh, I'm such a failure. It's our self-image that we think that we hold
Mm.
ourselves as like, how come I can't finish this? There must be something wrong with me. I must be broken. It's like now I got to fix my life. And it's like so now you're not just doing a task, you're trying to fix your life, and
Yeah.
because you think that there's something wrong with you because you can't push through, your circadian rhythm,
Mm.
and so we have different states. Our energy is related to our state of mind as well. So it's not just the circadian rhythm, and it's not just the foods that we feed ourselves, but it's also the state of mind that we're bringing to the task,
Mm.
and so if I have a state of mind that, oh, this is going to be hard, I'm going to have to push through this. So if you're already making it harder before you even start, guess
Yeah.
what, kids? You're in for a long ride.
Yeah. Yeah.
you know so the other idea is like, what is the intention, what is the perspective that you're bringing to the task? You've done hard things before, you've done it,
Hmm.
you've succeeded before, you've gotten through everything you've gotten through to be where you are right now here listening to us. Isn't that great?
Yeah.
And but the thing is like you are highly accomplished. You are highly capable. You are highly resourceful. You're
Mm.
not an idiot. You're not stupid in any way whatsoever. And I'm not trying to placate you. However, just trying to state that when our state of mind, our self-image interferes with what we're trying to accomplish, it does become a hurdle.
Mm.
This book right here, we just finished doing an accountability group on psychocybernetics. It's all about our self-image and how we perceive ourselves and what we're capable of,
Hmm.
and that brings that, no, I want to say this. It supports the energy that we bring to whatever we're doing, but it also gives us permission to stop doing something when it's time to stop
Mm.
without feeling like a failure or feeling like there's something wrong with us or anything else like that.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think the thing that really bothers me about this whole thing is that if you're draining all of your energy with your business tasks, then
Oh,
you've got nothing left for your family and your friends and everybody else because you're so exhausted by this mountain of crap that you have to do that drains your energy all the time that you're irritable and you're not very patient and you're snapping at people and you don't even realize you're doing it, you know? And I've had that a lot. So it's
yeah,
yeah, it's really difficult
yeah,
to enjoy the rest of your life when your business tasks are so draining. And so it's really, really key that we look at ourselves and we try and match our business rhythm with our natural energy rhythms
there you
or
go.
use different techniques to increase our energy, like listening to music or talking to a friend or, something like that that's really simple.
Yeah,
Because most of the time when you talk to somebody, you create the answer yourself, you know? So if you're ringing somebody like, hey, Robert, I've got this task and it's really bothering me. What can I do about it? And we're having a backward and forward conversation, even if that's 2 minutes. I go, yep, I know I can do that now, and I just get on with it.
Yep, exactly. And I think it's just really important for each person to give themselves the opportunity to discover what works
Hmm.
and then to follow it. Because I can't live my life by other people's rules. I mean, yeah, that's not one of the characteristics of an entrepreneur.
No.
Right? So, we're not here to live by other people's rules. We're here to discover our own. We're here to discover what works for us.
Mm,
And not only that, we're here to learn how we can become just the most, you know, productive and enriched in our experience and in our own lives and what we're trying to do for other people's lives,
mm.
you know?
Yeah, and that's ultimately what it's all about, isn't it? So
Yeah,
if you can't manage your own energy, then you can't possibly hope to improve somebody else's by what you're sharing,
right,
because most of the time, if your energy is drained, then what you're giving to that task is not your best work. And
right,
that makes you produce work of a lower quality than your standards will accept, your own personal standards, because we all have those. So,
right. And so those standards are a big deal too,
yeah.
because if, the standards are like the thermostat in your house. If your thermostat is set at 50 degrees, your house is always going to be maintained at 50 degrees. But if you're trying to live at a 70-degree temperature, it ain't going to work because the standard's not there. And there's lots of different kinds of trainings and things like that that can show you how to do that. But basically, when we elevate our standards, it becomes a minimal acceptable quality that we bring into all that we do. And we rise or fall to the standards that we set for ourselves,
Mm,
and that includes our ability um, to match our rhythm to our tasks.
yeah.
I mean, when you look at, the big names in the world, as it were, the Steve Jobs and Bill Gates and Richard Branson's and, et cetera, et ceteras, they have the exact same 24 hours that we do,
Hmm.
and they are able to get a lot done, and have a wonderful life,
Yeah.
you know, on top of that.
Yeah.
So, but we have to understand too that, you know, if I look at somebody, if I try to compare myself to somebody like one of those folks that I mentioned, not a great idea
No.
because, I don't have, I'm not living their life
Hmm.
and I don't want to live their life
And they're not living yours.
and they're not living mine, you know? So my job for my life is to find out what works best for me and then just go do it.
Exactly. Yeah. I think
Yeah.
that's a beautiful thing to end on, really, is
Yeah.
that one sentiment, really, just find what works for you and go with it, you know? So we would really love to hear from you, our viewers and listeners and watchers. What's been working for you? What hasn't been working for you? Have you been living your life by doing tasks that are draining your energy, or are you matching your rhythm? We really want to know. So you can subscribe and comment and like. We will read all of them. We will reply to all of them. So you can go to potentproductivitypodcast.com and you'll be able to subscribe to this podcast.
Excellent.
So thank you very much, Robert. It's always
Like,
great talking to you. And
like,
we'll see you next time. Bye, everyone.
cheers.